Welcome back to Money in Tech. I'm here with Tom Longson, founder and CEO of GogoCoin. Thanks for coming on the show, Tom.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Jered.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about GogoCoin?
I'd be happy to. So GogoCoin is my company, which we are introducing a new product to the market, which is prepaid Bitcoin. The idea that you can go into a brick and mortar store with maybe $100 cash, put it down on the table, and walk out with a card that's redeemable for Bitcoin. And this is a really big deal because while it's very easy for people to, in the United States at least, to buy Bitcoin online with Coinbase, it's not very easy when you're just talking about any other method. So if you don't have a bank account, you basically have very few options, and we're trying to open that up.
So if I do have a bank account, could I just buy Bitcoin with a check, credit card, something like that? Is this mostly targeting the unbanked or
Yeah,
everyone?
so the thing with Bitcoin is that in order to get into Bitcoin, you have to exchange your money somehow. And traditionally, checks, credit cards are not the ideal way to do this because they're what's known as reversible payment methods. So that's why Coinbase sometimes cancels transactions because they think that maybe it's a fraud concern for them. Whereas what we're doing is we're basically treating the retailer, the brick and mortar store, as a firewall, saying they accept cash, so we don't need to worry about reversible payment mechanisms. Essentially what we're doing is we're giving them instant access to Bitcoin because they're giving us instant access to their funds, and without any kind of a way to reverse that transaction. Bitcoin is like digital cash, so the idea of taking something that's reversible is very confusing, and it doesn't make sense for basically the doing a payment, especially when you're buying Bitcoins.
Excellent, excellent. So is this currently available in the United States?
We're about to launch our product in San Francisco, and we're also looking for partners in Latin America and Southeast Asia.
Excellent,
So
excellent.
we've got a lot of distributor interest, and clearly the demand's there, and there's just not supply.
So Tom, could you give me some use cases? What do you expect people to use GogoCoin for?
Primarily, we're looking to help people get Bitcoins for the first time. Currently, if you're going to buy Bitcoins, you don't have a lot of options. Really, if you're American, you can use Coinbase. If you're not, you probably want to use local Bitcoins. What that looks like is when you go meet somebody with local Bitcoins, you're meeting them at Starbucks, in an alley, who knows, and you're handing over cash for Bitcoins, and it's a kind of a scary proposition, so not everybody does it. So we're trying to make it easier on that perspective. It's also one of those things where we see this as being really, really powerful for the unbanked around the world, people who don't have checking accounts, people who don't have debit cards, and frankly can't get them. So what we're doing is we're giving them a card which represents that digital wallet that allows them to send money, to receive money, to work with the global economy, because it's really hard today. It's not an easy thing if you're in Africa or Russia or somewhere and you're trying to get a merchant account with Visa. It's not necessarily an easy thing to do. We're trying to solve this problem of being able to access Bitcoin, but also solve the bigger problem of why would you want to use Bitcoin and how do you use Bitcoin? So, and that's a big deal. I mean, we're really looking at a very transformative type of technology, something that's disruptive in the same way that Craigslist was to the newspapers. But you gotta present it in a way that makes it easy for people to work with, and that's what our product does. It makes it easier for them to first find a retailer and go there and get it, so that without having those kind of delays that you might have with Coinbase, like 6-day, 9-day delays. Right. So it's important, I think, and really it's about creating more on-ramps into the Bitcoin ecosystem, because Bitcoin is like the highway compared to the banks, which are, like a county road, basically.
So is this a pretty good sized market? The unbanked merchants that are paying ridiculously high fees internationally. Do you have any figures about what percentage of the world is unbanked or underbanked?
Yeah, so the World Bank reports 53% of the world is unbanked, wow, which is low compared to a lot of other numbers that I've seen, but World Bank's really reputable. In Latin America, it's 67%. So really around the world, there's a lot of people who don't have that kind of convenience that we have with Visa, MasterCard, and whatnot. From a merchant perspective, it's about not being able to sell your products, period. It's not about the transactional cost for a lot of people. If you can't accept credit card payments, how are you going to accept money over the internet for your goods and services? So it's very, very appealing. And the inverse is true too. So for example, WordPress, they started accepting Bitcoin early on because it meant people around the world could pay for their blogs because they didn't have credit cards. So you got a huge amount of people who are on the internet who want to interact with the rest of the world, who want to pay for things, want to sell things, and they can't. So Bitcoin is just disruptive. It's like, I mean, people say it's like email for money, and that's a big deal.
So Tom, you got a GogoCoin that you could show us?
Yeah, of course. I've got a few. So here I've got a little stack of GogoCoin cards. And as you can see on the back, we have two QR codes, one that's obscured by a scratch off right here, and one that's visible. So you can scan the visible one and find out what the value of this card is. This one happens to be $5, and you can have this.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah. And as a little bonus treat, I wanted to bring a physical Bitcoin, which is made by Titan, and it's made out of 1 ounce of pure silver. You can see this. And on the back, similarly, it has a QR code, which you can scan to find out what its value is. And this was minted in 2013. Again, 1 ounce of silver, 1 Bitcoin. It's pretty cool.
So if you want to cash that, you just scratch the code off the back and...
Yeah, you have to destroy the coin, but you know, you take it off and you can redeem it for the Bitcoin value, and then you could melt it down for, I guess, the silver value.
Cool.
That's straightforward,
cool.
yeah.
All right, Tom, so what are we looking at for a launch date on the GogoCoin?
We're going to be launching our sales in February. And to help kick this off, we're going to be giving away 20 cards, each worth $10, to people who tweet to Money in Tech and GogoCoin how they would use that card. So basically, show the power of Bitcoin, show how to use this card to make a difference in the world, do something cool, whatever. Show the power of Bitcoin, because that's what we want to do. And we'll pick out the 20 best replies, and yeah, just hashtag Money in Tech, hashtag GogoCoin.
Excellent. So these will be available in your bakery on 9th and Howard?
Yeah, in February.
So let's talk a little bit. When did you first learn about Bitcoin? What got you all excited about it? When did you decide that this was something you really wanted to do?
Yeah, this is the question. I want to, so I think I mentioned it back in 2011, so way later than you, Jered, but yeah, I was interested in mining it at the time, and I did a cost analysis, and I was like, I'm not going to make money off this, why bother? Unfortunately, I didn't really think about the fact that it would 100x, and so I made the wrong decision. But I got into Bitcoin pretty seriously back in 2012. We launched howdoyoubuyBitcoins.com, which is a resource for allowing people to figure out how to buy Bitcoins, and also the bakery started accepting Bitcoin. So we were basically investing our time and energy into it and being evangelists about it.
Do you use any of the other coins, any altcoins or Ripple or anything like that, or are you solely focused on Bitcoin?
No, I believe that digital cash is really a big movement that's beyond Bitcoin, and Bitcoin may or may not be the winner in that space. Right. My opinion, well, where I'm betting, I should say, I'm invested in Bitcoin, Ripple, and Litecoin, and the reason why I like Litecoin is because it can do 20 transactions per second, whereas Bitcoin can do 7. So it has a technological kind of difference that sets it apart. Ripple, unlike Bitcoin, is company-based, so they have marketing behind it. So it's a different strategy than Bitcoin, which is much more network effect. You could say that you can't pay for the marketing that Bitcoin's gotten. But at the same time, I think Ripple has a real shot because they just have a very, very different model for digital cash, and they're building the infrastructure to support it as well. So, yeah, I believe that different alts may come out as being different, having different qualities that make them more attractive to some people or others. But really, it comes down to digital cash, which is not going away, and I don't think anybody's arguing that that's going to go away.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So how did people react when I know when you first got into Bitcoin, we're talking about 2011, people would just seem skeptical, and I know when I would talk about Bitcoin with people, they'd say, "Oh, I don't want anything to do with your magic, internet money." It's changed a little bit. Like how have you seen that change over the last few years?
At the time, I was working for Sony, and I was at first treated like the crazy person in the office. Right. It's like, gee, you're that crazy programmer who's talking about this magical internet currency. And I convinced some people that it might be a good thing. I got them to buy Bitcoins in different ways. And and the attitude started shifting. It was really obvious. It was really cool because it went from people treating me like I was crazy to people going, is he onto something? To, oh, he was onto something. I should have listened more. And so it elevated my status within the company, but at the same time, I realized that it was much, much bigger than what I was experiencing, that the next couple years was going to be a huge ride for Bitcoin, and I ended up quitting Sony.
So is there anything else you're working on right now with Bitcoin? I mean, you obviously get your hands full. You got a Cupcake store, you got GogoCoin, there's all kinds of other things I know you're involved with.
Thankfully, the Cupcake store doesn't take up any of my time. That's all my wife's business. But yeah, there's a really, really exciting thing coming, which is we've got the Bitcoin Hackathon coming up, which is called the Bitcoin Hackfest. And it's going to be at 20 Mission. And we're doing something different from everybody else in the Bitcoin conference space, which is we're going to do 1 day of lectures and 1 day of hackathon. So basically, any programmer who's interested in Bitcoin in the San Francisco area or wants to come in can come in and learn some of the fundamentals of Bitcoin, learn how to integrate it into your existing app, how to build apps from it, really understand that Bitcoin is an application layer that we can build off of and create real businesses from. And so the hackathon is designed to take all those learnings and turn it into something real and be able to show off kind of the power of Bitcoin and the power of the development community here.
So what kind of developers are you targeting? Somebody that's never even touched Bitcoin? Or do you want really sophisticated Bitcoin experts, everybody?
So really what we're doing is we're giving people some primers, leading in some of the more advanced topics so that it's a wide area, but you got to be a programmer. You don't want to come to this conference if you don't code. I mean, it's really focused at showing you how to leverage the technology, but in a way that allows people from, I've heard about Bitcoin to I've already written 2 applications with Bitcoin to come and participate. We're going to have people like Charlie Lee, the creator of Litecoin, speaking, and our, I'm forgetting his last name, who is going to do a talk on how to integrate Bitcoin payments into your Android application. So we're going to have a lot of really actionable talks to help people learn how to work with Bitcoin, because it's more than just I can accept payments or I can send payments. It's also there are things you can do with the blockchain which allow for third-party trust to go away. For example, you can notarize documents in the blockchain, which is fantastic and really deserves a lecture of its own on, because when you can do things without having that third-party trust, it changes the dynamics of how we communicate, how we interact, how we do contracts. It's a big deal. So there's a lot of really interesting tech there to discuss.
Excellent. Is this something that investors or anyone else might be interested in?
We're going to have a bit of a soiree on Saturday night after all the lectures where people are invited to come, but generally investors are not invited. So we're definitely trying to allow people to see all the great benefits of the Bitcoin community. But it's a small event. We're really focused on trying to serve this very core niche, and we're going to have a lot of really cool projects for people to see online, and investors can interact that way.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So Tom, where can people find more information about this Bitcoin Hackfest?
We have a website up at bitcoinhackfest.com. It's going to be on March 1st and 2nd at 2415 Mission, which is 20th and Mission in San Francisco. So it's coming up quick, and we're really excited.
So you're also the owner of Cups and Cakes Bakery, which...
Technically, yes. My wife is the owner. I acquiesce to her. So, but yeah, she owns Cups and Cakes Bakery, which was one of the first retailers to accept Bitcoin for just traditional goods. And in fact, the first in San Francisco, the first bakery, as far as I know. And yeah, it was a really big deal. At the time when we first started, there was no kind of guidance on if it was legal or not legal, and we felt that it was an ethical thing to do. There was nothing unethical or wrong about it, and it was a great way to attract people to her small business, which is on 9th Street in Howard in San Francisco. And it's been an overwhelming success. We've had people come interview us from all around the world. We've had customers from all around the world. Wall Street Journal was the first to interview Jennifer, my wife, and we've had Forbes, Financial Times of London, BBC, list goes on, really. We've had a lot of local media. We were at the front page article for SF Weekly. We had a segment from ABC7. So it's really been a lot of press. And it's not been one wave. It's been multiple waves. Just last week, Jennifer was interviewed by Al Jazeera, for example. So yeah, it's been really, really positive for her. Not just because of the press. The customers that come in are happy to pay here in Bitcoins. They're looking for that experience that they're like, I've made money off of this thing. It's been useful to me. Now I want to get some direct, tangible benefit from it. So,
right. How often do you actually sell something for Bitcoins in the bakery? Is it every day? Or?
It's almost every other day at this point. So at first it was maybe once every 2 weeks. It was really slow, but we get people from Turkey and Russia, and so it was clear something was happening. It wasn't like, it was clear there was something happening in the Bitcoin community, even though at that point a lot of people in San Francisco didn't know about it. I would say like 1 in 10 people maybe knew. Now it's more like 9 in 10.
Have you had any difficulties integrating with Bitcoin and using it in the bakery?
Sometimes it's a little difficult for people. They ask questions that we can't necessarily answer, but it's mostly that they pay and with Bitcoin it's done. It's about as fast as a credit card transaction, or it's faster than the cash transaction, certainly. You don't have to make change.
Right.
So.
And you use BitPay, correct?
Yeah, we use BitPay, and she was already using Square off an iPad in her bakery, so it made perfect sense. It was easy to do. There's no cost up front.
So when you sell a cupcake or a lemon bar or something like that, and you get 0.05 Bitcoins for it, how do taxes figure into this? A lot of people are asking.
Yeah, it's the biggest question we get from other retailers, in fact, that are worried about accepting Bitcoin. And there's 2 ways to go about this. BitPay allows you to convert every day into USD, so it's not really an issue. We decided to go the other way, which is storing Bitcoins. And it's a little bit more tricky from an accounting perspective, but basically what we do is when we sell those Bitcoins, we figure out how much we've earned, and that's what's called capital gains, and we pay those taxes in addition. So it's kind of like if somebody came to us with a gold coin and we're like, well, we're not going to sell this today, we're going to sell it at the end of the year, and then gold goes up in price, and we go, oh, well, we've made some money off of that too. You have to pay the government in just the same way. So it's not super complicated. It's a little extra, but we also sold our first cupcakes for it's a $48 purchase, which ended up being 4 Bitcoins. So
$4,000 cupcake.
Yeah, and we have those on Casacious coins today. So
Excellent.
Yeah, we're pretty happy about it.
Excellent. Thanks for coming on the show today, Tom.
My pleasure, Jered.
For more information on GogoCoin, the hackathon, or Cupcakes, check out the show notes on moneyandtech.com. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.